The summer of 1957 is coming to a close, and the school year is fastly approaching. The date of September 4th remains in your mind as it gets closer and closer with each passing day. Your name is Elizabeth Eckford from Little Rock, Arkansas, and your first day at your new high school, Little Rock Central High, is coming closer and closer. The reason you're switching high schools isn't because your parents approve of it, or your family, or even the governor of your state approves of it. The reason you're doing it is to take a stand against racial segregation. The day approaches fastly, and it's finally here, September 4th, 1957. You start walking to school, as your family didn't have much money to buy a car for you to drive. As you get closer and closer, you see a larger and larger group of people gather. You didn't know what the people were there for. If they were celebrating with you, you had no idea. What you did know is there was a large crowd of people. Once you get close enough, you realize these people aren't here to celebrate with you, or to like you, or to praise you. These people are here for one purpose only: to stop you from getting an education. The crowds have gathered to scream, to spit on you, to call you racial slurs. But you keep going, you keep walking. Eventually you get to the door of the school, and you see the governor, Orville Faubus, who is not just him waiting at the doors, but the Arkansas State National Guard. You see, the National Guard was sent there to block you from entering the school, all because of the color of your skin. Taking a step back and looking into history, the reason this was all possible is because after Rosa Parks and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. organized a bus boycott of public transportation in 1955, the Supreme Court eventually ruled that segregation of public utilities is illegal. And then eventually Brown v. Board of Education ruled that segregation of public schools is illegal. You were going to make a stand. You and 8 other classmates who are all brave enough to endure the most gruesome acts that anybody could endure. You, Thelma, Minnie Jean, Jefferson, Terrence, Carlotta, Gloria, Ernest, and Melba all were brave enough to take a stand. For what you were doing at the time was extremely controversial and may not have been what was right. But you knew in your heart that it was right and it was correct, and you took a stand. And we thank you for it. We put statues up in your name for it. You will live forever in history, and we are undoubtedly grateful for you and your stance to fight against racial segregation in the United States of America. Thank you so much for what you 9 have done, and what the millions of others who have stood up to fight against racial segregation and against racism in general. The struggle continues today, and I will carry on your fight as a white ally. As Dr. Martin Luther King said, an ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And you, the Little Rock 9, stood your ground in a challenging time, the most challenging time that any high school student has ever faced, and the most barbaric treatment that any high school student could and would comprehend of ever facing. You guys stood your ground and you fought for what was right. And America is forever in your debt. You see, it doesn't take the Supreme Court to rule something, or the President of the United States to say something. It takes a mass movement of people to get real change. And the Little Rock 9 were the spark that lit the fire for that mass movement of people. what these kids did, I don't think that there would be very many people that would sign up to be out here in their school where they're supposed to feel comfortable and safe in a safe learning environment. Not many people would put up with what these people had to put up with. I mean, day in and day out being called racial slurs, day in and day out being spit on, day in and day out being abused physically, mentally. But these people did it, and they did it because they believed in something. And there's nothing more American and nothing more patriotic than that. Thank you guys, sincerely.